Now, I want to go over briefly here some rough, dirty tactics that are outlawed in professional boxing, but may happen to you when you're in the ring. Hopefully the referee will see them and penalize or disqualify your opponent. This doesn't always happen, so we'll show you some of these things to look for right now with Dean. First, you know about low blows. Low blows are always a threat. Some fighters will not throw a low blow per se to the groin, but they'll try and throw a low blow to the hip. This happens, and this can have the same effect, if you hit it right, the same effect as a hip pointer in football. And I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen down at the Forum in Los Angeles. I've seen it happen where guys can get hit low on the hip bone, and will get a hip pointer, and if they are able to continue, they're not very maneuverable, and you always wonder, well, was this done purposely or not? But it's something to be aware of, and if somebody does it to you, why, you might want to retaliate. One other maneuver that's used a lot in boxing, was in the past, not as much today, is the right uppercut turned into an elbow, because it's very difficult to see, so that the opponent will throw a right elbow as he comes up with what looks like a right uppercut. And it comes up and through, but he's not concerned with whether he lands it or not, because as he comes up, the glove will come out ever so slightly. Now the elbow can be driven into the sternum, which is extremely painful, and if that misses, then comes up through the chin, but it's very hard to detect because it just looks like it's missed, but you get a double deal there. You get one in the sternum and one in the chin. So always be careful of somebody who's throwing constant uppercuts, and you don't feel the punch. All you feel is the elbow. You might want to say something to your corner man. He'll say something to the referee, but it's still done. I've seen it. Also, the punch that I just mentioned to the hip. Another punch that you might face sometimes, it's not a punch per se, is the using of the laces. This is very difficult nowadays because they cover the gloves with tape, or the gloves are thumbless, and in some instances, still in boxing, they will use the wraparound, as this is, the Velcro, and it doesn't actually work like a lace, but it's still painful if it's used. The other thing, too, that you always have to be careful of is that the inside of the glove is very hard. It's not padded. And that can be used on the ear. This comes by here. It looks like a hook, but you don't turn the glove over, and you hit the ear, can break an eardrum, can cause an ear to swell immediately. Very, very, very difficult punch to detect whether the man is trying to throw a punch or whether he's trying to injure you with the inside of the glove. Another trick that is used sometimes is to aim a punch at the inside of your opponent's, it could happen to you, at the inside of the opponent's arm. This area in here, very sensitive to a punch on the inside of the arm, and can really be debilitating, sometimes maybe making it difficult for you to even use that arm afterwards. But if he has his arm out, Dean has his arm out like this, and I just come right in here like this, I don't even try. I'm not even trying. I'm just trying to hit him right in here in the soft part of the bicep. And if you hit that right in there, particularly with the thumb area, if I hit that with the thumb and get it in there, that can also render a man not totally useless, but put him into a position where he has a lot of trouble using that arm. Another thing is, we touched on clinching briefly, but you always have to be careful in a clinch of somebody getting the head underneath you and lifting up into your chin. Also, be careful of an opponent who's smaller than you are, shorter than you are, who likes to dive in with his head. You've got to be careful. Like if Dean starts to dive in with his head, this happens all the time. You've got to be very careful. That's why you want to be able to stay at long range against a guy that's diving in with his head. You've got to be able to get out of the way. Of course, you could meet him with uppercuts, but hey, if you miss, you could be in a lot of trouble. The thumb to the eye, that's is not as common nowadays because the thumbless glove has kind of eliminated that as a problem. But Those are just some of the areas where you can get into trouble with heads, elbows, these different kinds of maneuvers, and you want to be aware of them yourself. And if it's happening to you, you're left with either complaining to the referee, letting your corner complain about it, or retaliating in some measure yourself. Sometimes that's the best way to handle it is, he fouls you, you foul him. It's a tough sport. One more thing that you always want to be careful of in a clinch is your opponent getting you in kind of an arm bar almost. Step in, Dean, where you get him like this and in this position now and start wheeling him around and the elbow can give. This happened to Gabriel Wells in a fight up in Las Vegas a few years ago. His elbow was dislocated and his career really was never quite the same after that, even though he came back to win a world's title. But he never was as effective after that. Same thing happened in the Holyfield-Tyson fight. Tyson had Holyfield in a similar situation. Step back in here, Dean. But if you get into that kind of a position, you want to jerk your... Here's the thing. When the glove is like this, you've got a chance to pull it out. That's why if anybody gets you into a clinch like that, immediately roll your glove over with the thumb up. Roll your glove over with the thumb, because now you have a chance to pull it out. Pull. You've got a chance. If, however, you keep the thumb over in this fashion with the palm down, now you'll never be able to pull it out. So you want to immediately turn the thumb up. Now you have a chance to pull it out. Remember that. You want to get out of a clinch. You're not happy with the way it looks in there. Turn the thumb up. You now have a chance to pull it out. Keep the thumb over here. It'll catch against your back. You won't be able to get it out. But think about think about being in a clinch, and if you're in this clinch now, and a guy gets your arm like this. Now you roll over my arm. Yeah. You roll over my arm like this. Remember, it's going to be difficult for me to get out, but I'll never get out unless I turn the gloves up. Then I have a chance. But if I keep the gloves over, there's no way I can get out. But I might get out if I turn the thumb up.